Hello, my name is Clayden, and I'm a 17-year-old autistic artist, and my journey began when COVID happened. Of course, I couldn't go to school, so I had a lot of time on my hands, and because I didn't really have too many distractions, I decided to go forward with becoming an artist. I had so much time on my hands, and art was always something that I was very passionate about, and seeing as that I had time to do so, I spent time slowly improving my craft, and over time, we built a business, CLAYDEN Designs, and I guess we just went from there. Of course, as the years went by, we had some rough moments. We did work on some projects in the past, and many of them I'm quite proud of. But yeah, we built an entire brand selling clothing, and the thing I want to do with Clayden Designs is I want to one day make an entire business selling t-shirts and employing people with autism because I want to really support the autistic community, and the first thing I need to do so is talk about autism, spread awareness about what autism truly is, and give people the knowledge of how to deal with it. I know in some cases it can be quite scary when you learn that your kid's autistic and you do not know what to do. And I know for my mom, it was a little bit stressful and there wasn't too much information, back then on the internet. So I want to, be the voice for the autistic community and let people know that it's okay. Even though your kid has autism, it still won't, hold them back. You can still achieve anything you want in life. And for me, autism was never that thing that held me back. It was never one of those things that made my life difficult. Yes, it had its ups and downs, like, for example, I'm unilliterate. That's one of the biggest struggles I have. I can't read and write, but technology is there to help. And I want people to know that you can find a different way of living your life. You can find a way to adapt, because as we all do, we always find a way to deal with a problem. For me, that's reading and writing. And in some cases, I do struggle in my day-to-day life, but for me, art is just one of those things that comfort me, allow me to move forward in life and be able to express myself to the world. And I have a lot of big dreams. I one day want to move to America and make Clayden Design something big. Right now, I'm working on my own project, a comic book, and I'm really excited to soon release the comic book for people to read. And it can be quite ironic thinking about how, I script the entire comic book even though I can't read and write, but technology does, help quite a lot to do so, and there's a lot of things I want to do. An entire game plan I have. Want to go to America, want to continue with Clayden Designs, become a tattoo artist, sell merchandise, and then slowly build up my brand. Because when I do go to America, being a tattoo artist is one of those things that I want to pursue because I've always wanted to do commissions and basically create pieces of art that people can have, and also something that people can, brag about how they got a cool design from someone that is on the spectrum. And I think it can be quite, good to for that person to kind of have an excuse to talk about autism. And also another thing I would love to do is go travel the world and go to places to talk about autism, go on stage and tell people it's okay to be different, because it's okay to be different is my motto for autism, and I'd love to just talk about autism and give people more awareness, allow people to have a better understanding of how to deal with it. I know, even though I'm autistic, I do not have all the answers for what a parent should do or what a kid should do, but hopefully I can be inspirational and allow people to have a better sense of how to deal with something that isn't really spoke about as much as you would think. This is something that, is going to be a part of my life forever. It's something that identifies me. I am autistic, and because of that various reason, it's going to be a part of my life forever. So instead of running away from the fact that I am different than everyone else, I'm going to completely embrace it. I'm going to be just telling everyone that it's okay to be different, because it truly is. All of us have our limitations. Even if we're not autistic, we have things that we can't do, and that's okay. It's one of those things where in life, when you find something that you love, pursue it. Because pursuing something you love in life will lead to will lead to a much more happier life, will lead to something much more fulfilling. And for me, what truly makes me happy is being an artist. And being an artist is something I enjoy so much, and that's something I want to be my job. I don't see myself working in, a normal working environment. And what I mean by that is I can't see myself not being an artist. It's just something I've always wanted to be for the longest time. And, working as an artist in any way will make me happy. I know some people may ask about would I choose not to be autistic? And the fact of the matter is, not really, because, it's who I am as a person. I always see limitation as something that can drive you more forward in life, because autism is my identity. It's who I am as a person. Spreading awareness of autism is something that I see as really important, because the more you know about autism, the more clarity you can have on the situation and have a much more better understanding of how to deal with it. And I don't really see too many people talking about autism. That's why I want to be that person. I want to be that person that goes on stage and tells everyone about autism and kind of give people direction of where to go. Because the truth is, the only person that knows how to deal with autism is the person who's autistic. And in most cases, if you listen to the person with the condition, it can make it far more easier to have a better understanding of how to move forward. And that's where Clayden Designs come in. It's a business that I want to pursue and want to build upon, and one day, use Clayden Designs as a base to sell t-shirts, use it as a place to employ people on the spectrum, and also use it as a place to talk about autism. Clayden Designs for me is all about the autistic community and something I want to build upon. And there's so many things I want to do in the future. I want to use, I want to become a tattoo artist, use that as a way for me to, do cool designs, do cool commissions, use Clayden Designs as a secondary thing, and work on the project I'm working on right now to tell stories for people. And slowly over time, I want to build upon that. Build upon Clayden Designs, build upon becoming a tattoo artist, and writing a comic and telling stories in the future. And Clayden Designs is something that can allow me to achieve all those things in life. And that's what I really want to do with my life. I really want to have an impact in the autistic community, because I think, more people knowing about it can be inspirational. I remember a long time ago looking up to many other artists and saying, one day I want to be like them, and one day I want to be inspirational just like them. The amount of inspiration I have towards those people, I want to one day have that effect on young kids like myself. And here I am now and still have that dream. I'm still chasing that dream of becoming a better artist and one day being an inspiration to others, because I know that feeling of looking up to someone and feeling kind of excited for the future. And I want to give that to other young autistic kids, because that is the best thing and the best feeling you can have and the best motivation. The inspiration to become anything. And the last thing I want to end this note on is it's okay to be different. Yes, it may be difficult knowing that you're autistic. It may be difficult knowing that you have certain limitations in life. But the truth is, even people who aren't autistic have limitations. Everyone does. And even though your limitations make you different, that makes you unique and special in your own way. I've seen so many autistic people, and I've seen what they can do. I've seen many people, like for example, Albert Einstein, he's autistic. Leonardo da Vinci, he's also autistic, and those people were innovative thinkers. Autistic people may struggle and have difficulty, but that is for a reason. People with autism think far differently than other individuals who aren't autistic. And I like to think that being autistic opens your mind up to new creative ideas and solutions to world's problems, and also allowing you to be far more creative minded. And that is the best gift that you can have, being creative minded, being able to come up with ideas and solutions to problems, and being able to think of things far differently than other people. I know I see the world far differently than others, and yes, I may have a sense of what other people think of the world and what people see, but for me the world is seen a little bit more differently, and that is special and unique because it can really change other people's perception and allow the world to be a much more vivid and colorful place. The world we live in isn't in black and white, it's in full color, and for that various reason, being able to see it that way will really allow you to be much more open-minded and be able to think of much more creative solutions. And for me, that's just something that's really special and unique to have. The biggest thing I want people to know is it's okay to be different. That's the message I want to spread to everyone. I remember when I was younger, when I was still in school, the biggest thing I struggled with was being bullied. And not just by the kids, also by the teachers. And that really impacted me when I was younger and gave me a lot of anxiety. And for that various reason, I remember art was the one thing that comforted me. It allowed me to express myself even though I had a hard time really, expressing myself with others due to, the bullying. And art was one of those things that just made me feel comfortable. It was my safe space. And many autistic people have that safe space, and art was that for me. So I ended up just going from there, drawing, using it as a way to cope and using it as a way to feel comfortable and safe. And I do remember that kids would still bully me and make fun of me, but I still felt comfortable and safe, and slowly over time, COVID did happen. And for that reason, Clayden Designs blossomed. And the way Clayden Designs came up was one day when the restrictions eased up a little bit. Me and my mom went to a restaurant, and my mom was talking with her friend, and her friend gave us the idea to start Clayden Designs. And from there, we started selling T-shirts. We started, printing, and not really getting a little bit of traction, but slowly, building up a brand, building up a name, and getting some people to follow us. And from there, I started getting better and better at art. First, I used Copic markers and just, normal paper. Then, eventually, I got my first drawing tablet and started using digital as a medium. Of course, it took me a while to get used to that medium because it was something new, but it was something exciting and, just different to me. And that really motivated me to continue forward. After a year, I started doing commissions, slowly improving my art over time, working on projects. And I remember the one project I worked on was a horse painting I did. It was a ginormous horse statue, and I completely painted it by hand, and it was a really exciting project. And it was for,
Charity.
yes, it was for a charity organization for people with special needs, and that was quite an exciting project to work on. It took me about a year to complete, and after I painted the horse, I sold it, and the proceeds went to people on the spectrum or people with neurodiversity. I also remember working on a painting for Ernie Owls. Of course, I had absolutely no idea what to do, but I took a look at the scenery and decided to do a painting of said place. So I painted Ernie Owls, and that also was meant for, to spread autism awareness and, have people understand it a little bit more. When I was younger, I needed motivation, and my mom was there to motivate me to continue being an artist. I remember in the time when I was bullied and, had, anxiety, my mom was there to support me and look at my art and say it was good. And because of that, I continued with drawing, slowly getting better. And I like to think that if my mom wasn't there supporting me and telling me what a good job I was doing, I don't think I would be the artist I am now, because back then I, had motivation to continue and had support from my mom. And I think having support is the most important thing for any autistic person, because it can be quite difficult and quite frustrating when you try to create something and it isn't perfect. I remember when I made this one art piece, it wasn't perfect and I really wasn't happy, but my mom was there to support me and I just continued. I kept on going forward, and that was the thing that helped me improve support and having a place I felt comfortable in. And I think that's really important for many people who are autistic and also for myself, because I wasn't really, I struggled with, anxiety. I struggled with, feeling comfortable in certain environments, and having art and having a supporting mom really helped me with that and really took the pressure off and allowed me to be creative and really work on my passion projects. And now I've gone to a point that I can, I have my own coping mechanisms. I'm able to fully stand in environments where I would, a long time ago when I was younger, feel completely uncomfortable in, but now I don't whatsoever. Any environment that I'm in, I'm completely comfortable in. And it's gone to a stage where I can now talk to people on a stage and not get scared whatsoever. I see it more as a challenge to see if I'm able to, be on stage, and the more people there are, the better, because then I'll be able to, you know, challenge myself basically. So I've gone to a point where instead of being frightful of those situations where I normally used to be frightful, and I'm now motivated to try harder to see if I can be able to last out on there. I used to have stage fright, but not at all. I like to think that, the more people there are, the better, because then I can really test myself and see if I'm able to last. Another thing that really helped me was acceptance. Accepting that I can't read and write, accepting that there will be certain things in life that I won't be able to do. I remember the first thing I wanted to become was an engineer. But of course, the biggest thing that was holding me back was the knowledge of being able to do programming. Of course, you need to be able to read and write to do that, and I couldn't whatsoever. I can't read and write, and it was always frustrating to me because back then the teachers were kept on, trying to force me to read and write even though I couldn't. I physically, for the life of me, can't read and write whatsoever, and I remember that was another thing that gave me anxiety, not being able to read and write. And it really frustrated me, but one day my mom just sat me down and said, "It's okay. You can't read and write, but let's focus on what you can do." And the one thing that I enjoyed and wanted to pursue was art. That was something I could do. So I just stuck to becoming an artist and slowly kept on pushing myself to get better and better at my craft. And still, to this day, at the age of 17, I can't read and write. And I've accepted the fact that I can't. And I have, embraced the idea that it's okay I can't read and write. I can still do many other things. And for that reason, that is what motivates me to accomplish many other things in life. There's a lot of goals and achievements I want to do, and many other things I want to achieve, but I can achieve those things. Even though I can't read and write, and even though there's other things in my life I can't do, the things I can still pursue.